And so, 2 game weeks have passed since our previous installment, and the big question at the end of the last video was which strategy I would employ, and the decision was made to take all those algorithm acolytes on, with my signing of Luis Diaz, ensuring a commitment to the free hit in either game week 36 or 37, and that against the curve signing of Diaz paid immediate dividends, with a rise up to 15k in the overall rankings as we headed into double game week 33. However, as you will see, it has been a double game week disaster, and with no free hit in game week 34, the pain may well continue until it's my time to shine in those final 4 game weeks. And we'll get into my plan to end the season with a bang in just a few short minutes, but first let me show you what it truly means to have an FPL nightmare.
And here we go.
Now we all know every nightmare starts as a dream, and while game week 32 was not one of the wildest ones, that Luis Diaz goal ensured the first double game week was a success, despite a few setbacks which now appear to be where all the trouble began. My 92 points did outscore my League of Gentlemen title rivals, taking me 6,000 places up the overall rankings and sending me 93 points clear in the world's greatest mini league. But if we look closer, we can see it should have been so much greater. Munoz's negative score is the obvious standout, and Mateta's 2 points were massively frustrating, especially given Eze stole a penalty from him, only to deliver the worst 12-yard strike since my own for Castletown under 14s, when against our local rivals Pategill, I somehow kicked the ground in front of the ball, saw the keeper dive the wrong way, only to have the time to calmly stand up, walk over and gather the trickling travesty in front of the Thacker back end. At least on that day I managed to redeem myself, recovering from my embarrassment to score a hat-trick, my first 3 goals in the fabled Pebble Dash Blue, down at the recreation field we called home. However, there was no redemption for my Palace trio, with Sar's assist the only points those 3 doublers brought in. But they weren't really an issue, especially given I didn't own Eze. No, the problem was with my bench boosters, and seeing Verbruggen concede twice to a team who have only scored in 1 of their last 10 games. Unbelievable! And it was a misery compounded by watching some Forest joker miss control with 30 seconds left to snatch a clean sheet and 3 bonus points away from Milenkovic. That's 12 points lost through the kind of sheer stupidity you just can't account for. And despite my 19 points being a successful bench boost in the context of some of those I saw last weekend, it was the warning sign that things were starting to turn, because in the background something very special was unfolding, and game week 32 was just a taster.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
You see, after being written off several game weeks ago, Gladiator Glenn had retreated from the arena. He'd licked his wounds and let them heal, and he was starting to rebuild. And after the assassin declined to use one of his trips, mighty Morton made his move. He'd already edged ahead of Dan the Dragon into 3rd spot 2 game weeks prior, and now he was ready to turn the narrative on its head. And then in game week 32 it was time. The Gladiator deployed his bench boost, with Nori's 14 points making it an unqualified success. Furthermore, he had Nick Pope in goal, meaning Eze's dismal penalty gained him 15 massive points, edging him 3 points ahead of the assassin into 2nd place in the League of Gentlemen. Still, he was 93 points behind my lords, and the critics were saying the title race was over. They forgot the gladiator forges his own path, and once again he made a series of almighty big balls calls. First he'd retain the services of Umbumo, the third most sold player of the game week. That's 18 points in the bag. Then he backed the 0-0 in the Bournemouth Palace game, playing 3 defensive players from those 2 teams. That's 22 more points on his total. He started Aït-Nouri over Milenkovic, another 3-point gain, but it was in the transfer market that he showed the most cojones, eschewing all the double game week players to bring in Cunha for Isak and Bowen for Palmer. Another 13-point gain. Everything Midas Morton touched was turning to gold. Meanwhile, if you were following my game week updates over on Twitter and Blue Sky, you'll know the exact opposite was occurring for my lords. It was like the FPL gods were punishing me for getting satanised at the Ghost concert, because they were striking me down with an unholy vengeance. The entire world could feel the thunder breaking in my heart as my beloved Newcastle were thrashed. Mateta, Marmoush and Isak made it 4 for 4 on the Saturday attacking blanks, leaving my 93-point advantage decimated as the gladiator hacked 33 points off it, and even the assassin had brought in that blasting Martin on his free hit, so my other rival was clawing me back as well. It's alright though, I thought. Surely Sunday we'll see that momentum swing back in my favour.
Don't worry about it, they're not gonna catch us.
Then Sunday came and I got a little bit of luck as the Gladiators captain Salah blanked. However, so too did my captain Saka, incredibly the only one of Arsenal's starting 11 not to get a return. My Raya kept a clean sheet, but so too had the Gladiators Henderson, and he got 3 bonus points. Both my Diaz and the Gladiators Zoboslai blanked, but somehow the Hungarian heartthrob got 2 bonus points. And of course the diabolical Man United couldn't do me a favour, gifting the Gladiators Wolves triumvirate at 15 points between them. Having seen my 93-point lead become 60 on the Saturday, the Sunday ended with my advantage reduced to only 51 points, and then another 2 points were taken off it on Monday, when for the second game week running my Milenkovic conceded a goal in the dying embers of the game, while Midas Morton's Alanga inevitably grabbed an assist. I'd known I was taking a huge risk playing no trips in game week 33 and delaying my free hit until game week 36, but this outcome was brutal, and the worst thing was the Gladiator only had 2 doublers in his starting 11. It wasn't me showing the algorithm acolytes how to play the game, it was my biggest rival, and as each day passed the situation was getting ever more critical. And then Tuesday night came and the Gladiator had nobody, while I had Marmoush and Gvardiol, and then Marmoush wasn't given the assist and had an offside goal ruled out, while Gvardiol conceded and got himself booked, so it was not the comeback I'd hoped for. But Zoboslai's bonus points were also removed, meaning I did gain 5 points, and the majority of players who could hurt me blanked, so I only dropped to 30k in the rankings. It wasn't great, no, but at least it was something. At least those Marmoush captainers hadn't left me in the mud. And though my quartet of Gladiator hunters managed to restore some respectability to the scoreline on the game week's final day, the damage to both my overall ranking and my psyche had been done.
Well done.
All we did is survive.
That's enough.
It was a chastening game week, there's no denying that. And it wasn't just the Gladiator, no. The Assassin's free hit proved fruitful, taking more points off my lead over him. And of course the Assassin and Midas Morton have the advantage again in blank game week 34, because I can only get to 10 players without hits. And with only 5 game weeks remaining, I simply have to get my decisions correct this week, because my grip on that League of Gentlemen trophy has never felt so loose. So with 2 rivals hot on my heels and 2 transfers in the bank, this is what I'm going to do. The first thing is simple, and that's sell Ishmael Assar and big man Mateta. And I'm not going to look for differential picks or try to find hidden gems. I'm replacing Sarr with someone who has ridiculously spent only 7 game weeks in my team this season, and that's flying Brian Mbeumo. There might be others with better fixtures, there may be players who could give me an edge, but Mbeumo is the second highest scorer in the game. He's got Forest, Man United, Ipswich, Fulham and Wolves. More importantly, my closest rival used him to put me to the sword this week, and that's something I'm not prepared to let happen again. Not owning Mbeumo for 26 of this season's game weeks has been my most obvious mistake, but nobody makes a fool of me 27 times in one season, so Mbeumo is in. Now Mateta's replacement, that was always intended to be Matthias Cunha, and indeed I very nearly made that transfer last week. However, I'm starting to have second thoughts. I'm not convinced Cunha's nailed. This transfer speculation might see him benched. He's a bit of a loose cannon. Furthermore, if I make him my second signing, then I'm opening myself up to accusations of defensive play, given the Gladiator has him as well. And even though Cunha was always in my master plan, there may be room to negotiate here. Big Chris Wood is back on the scene and back in the goals. Raul Jimenez is up against Southampton. Danny Welbeck is at home to West Ham, and we know Joao Pedro is out. There are options here. However, if I am to forego Cunha, the man I'm most interested in is someone who has never let me down this season, and that is Johan Wissa.
So I don't want to hear any more of this small change shit. We're putting the band back together.
If I like Brentford's fixtures for Mbeumo, and I do very much so, then why on earth would I overlook his predatory partner? Yes, signing 2 Brentford attackers to go away to Forest may seem like overkill, but Forest's defensive numbers have dropped off a cliff. They've got that big cup game to navigate first, while Brentford will have had 11 days to rest up. Furthermore, having 2 attackers in the final fixture of game week 34 is very appealing indeed. But I do like that Cunha pick as well, and big Chris Wood has been undeniable this season. It's a tough call, and though I am leaning towards Wissa right now, I need a little more time to consider. The big question is whether I take a hit to get that 11th player, and in a game week when so many are playing their free hit, I think it is prudent to do so. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because though the obvious move is to get in both Wissa and Cunha for Mateta and Marmoush, there are 2 very attacking defenders with outstanding fixtures. The first is Ryan Aït-Nouri, who is up against the shot-shy Leicester, a team who have just been savaged for their incompetence by their star striker. The Gladiator owns Aït-Nouri as well, and he's benefited to the tune of 19 points in 2 game weeks. And the way it's going, there's every chance Aït-Nouri gets another 19 this weekend. Then there's a differential punt of Sessegnon, a defender so attacking he's actually playing right wing, and who has 3 goals and 2 assists in 303 minutes. pass. He's bound to be a popular pick on the free hit, but I think I need guarantees for the rest of the season, and I'm not convinced Sessegnon is one. So I think Sessegnon is out for me. So depressingly, it could well be that I end up taking a hit to make 3 transfers, and all 3 are players that one of my closest rivals already owns, and who the other one could wildcard in at any time. Umbumo is a lock, and then it's likely to be 2 from Wissa, Cunha and Aitnori, but these are the signings I think could get the most points, so excluding them because my rivals may get them as well is just bad strategy, especially when I am still top of the world's greatest mini-league.
This isn't a game to me. This isn't playtime. This is serious business.
And this is what it comes down to. With just 5 game weeks to go, I am in a position that at the start of the season, I would have given anything to be in. And yes, in recent game weeks, I have found myself torn between attacking the overall rankings and defending my mini-league position. But maybe now is where those 2 contrasting battles converge to give me the best possible outcome. Maybe I need to be prepared to lose face in the Maverick Stakes. Maybe I need to eat that humble pie, because maybe defending myself from the twin threats of the assassin and Midas Morton, maybe that's what takes me back up those rankings. After all, the power of the League of Gentlemen is not in the individuals, but it's how those individuals drive each other to greater heights. I may only have that one solitary top 10k ranking to my name, but of our last 5 champions, there has been 1 top 2k ranking, 2 top 10k rankings, 1 just inside 20k and the other one was not so far behind. While individuals may struggle for year-on-year consistency in this division, the eventual champion simply has to deliver an elite season to be crowned. And the key part of becoming a champion is knowing when to attack and when to defend, and holding back on your free hit chip when the vast majority of engaged players will use it. To me, that is a game week to be defensive. Right now, my lords are defending our position like Inter Milan away at Barcelona. We're throwing our bodies on the line. It's all we can do to keep our heads above the water. But in 2 game weeks time, that's when we get to launch our counter-attack. That's when our pacey winger intercepts the pass. He breaks through and has the whole of our opponent's half empty ahead of him. He's bearing down on the keeper. It's 1-on-1 and he has that free hit to slot it home. And we just need to make sure we're still in the contest when that moment comes. And that goal isn't just a mere consolation. We have to make Gary Neville's voice break as we clinch the tie in stoppage time.
It's Torres to give Chelsea a place in the Champions League final. The headline has been written.
So you can look at my Spartan defence as an act of cowardice if you want. I don't really care. But just remember that I still have that free hit chip, and I did not play it when I was down on the doublers. I'm not playing it when all those big name algorithm acolytes are telling me to do so. In a season of forging my own path, I will continue to play the game my way, and I will continue to trust that my master plan will see me through. Yes, I was battered all over the ring in game week 33, but the bell has gone. I made it through and I'm still standing. I may have lost that battle, but the winner of the war is still to be determined. My likely game week 34 team, well, I'd put that up against any of those free hits and think I have a chance. Will they be able to do the same against my my game week 36 free hit? Or will they be taking hits to chase my team and then taking even more hits in that penultimate game week when I have transfers in the bank and a full starting 11? And who will enter that fifth and final game week with the momentum, the squad and the transfers to attack? I believe it will be my Lords, and I'm staking my entire season on it. And far from being a cowardly move, that's the biggest big balls call it's possible to make. And I can only hope those cojones are what awakens me from my FPL nightmare. I lost this game week, there's no denying that. But like I keep saying, I'm not here to win game weeks, I'm here to win titles. And so ahead of the blank game week, which really could go either way, let me just say, may all your transfers be successes, may all your arrows be green, and may those FPL gods be in your favour. Stop your chips from going soggy by hitting those like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you next time.
It's an FPL nightmare, got me pulling out more, yeah. I'm the greatest football manager to ever grace the old armchair, but the FPL gods hate me, and no one seems to care that my points are only average, and my ranking is not fair.